My name is Mike. For those of you that don't know me, I practice here at EBS and co-lead a couple practice groups. I guess what I'll do is I always like to share a little something that's on my mind that I think relates to meditation in a way that people might find helpful. And you could see, if you had a chance, my description of today's live video says, meditation is boring. Good. And what motivated me to talk about that is something that was said recently. I have a Zen, quantum Zen practice. So in our Zen, one of our Zen practices, one of the teachers talked about this. And I really thought it was helpful because if you are, whether you're an experienced meditator or this is one of the first times you've ever tried this out, you may know that meditation can feel pretty boring. You know, you sort of are just sitting in a chair on a cushion and you're quiet, you're not talking, encourage you, obviously, don't listen to music or, some people try it that way, but a true meditation practice is to sort of sit in quietness and to just watch and be present in the moment. And that can feel real boring because we're used to having our phones out, we're used to having the TV on, we're used to talking, we're used to filling our minds endlessly with stuff, so that when we come, as we are about to here shortly, to sit in silence without doing anything and having our phones out, it starts to feel really boring. And some people who are especially new to meditation think that's sort of I'm doing something wrong. Why? It's so boring. What? This isn't right. It doesn't feel right. Because I think we've been sensitized in our culture to think that stimulus, constant stimulus, is normal. That's the way we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be constantly stimulated. We're supposed to be constantly thinking and doing and reading and watching and listening. And when we're not doing and watching and reading and listening, there's something wrong with that. Well, of course it feels wrong because most of our days and nights sometimes are spent with this constant stimulation that we have, so that when we engage in a practice like this that we're about to do, it doesn't feel right. It can even be anxiety producing. I know I said, meditation is boring, but some people feel more anxiety even when they really take the time to be quiet and to turn off everything around them. So what I think I would remind you of, and what I remind myself of, because just like you, I feel it's boring sometimes. I'm just bored to death, or I get these feelings of anxiousness that sort of roll over me like a wave. But nonetheless, it's okay. It's good when you have these feelings. It's good to feel like this is boring. You might even say that's a sign that you're doing something right, that you're not feeling this need to have constant stimulation. So I would say, as someone who's been meditating for years, when you practice and you have this feeling that it's just so boring, I'm so bored, hang in there with that. Watch that. Be with that boredom. Don't push it away. Don't label it as bad, that you're doing something wrong, or meditation is wrong, or it's not for you, or instead, hang in there with that boredom. Watch it. Just let it be. And I can tell you from experience that after a while, having a long enough practice, that feeling of boredom takes on a new feeling, a new kind of texture to it. I'm trying to find the right word. It's not like you ever stop feeling bored, but I hate to use the word bored because it's a negative connotation. But this quietness, it kind of gets a texture and a richness to it. So yes, when we sit, especially after you do this for a while, you kind of notice this quietness, this emptiness, with no phone and no television and no earbuds playing music in your ears or anything like that. And that brings on its own sort of lovely, kind of beautiful texture, and things begin to sort of unfold for you. For me, they have. And I don't want to give too many words to it, because the more words I put on it, what's the old Zen saying? I'm painting legs on a snake. The snake is fine the way it is. Don't paint legs on it. So I'm trying not to add a bunch of words to something that really doesn't need words. But I would say, again, in terms of if you're feeling bored, that's okay. You're not doing anything wrong. Maybe I should leave it with that. Don't just sit with that boredom, watch, observe, breathe, and don't worry about whether you feel bored or not. Okay. So I think I'll stop there. It's about 20 till, so we have about 20 minutes. That's probably pretty good. So we're going to move into sort of 5 minutes of guided meditation. So if you're needing to adjust your the spot where you're sitting, go ahead and get into where you would want to sit for meditation. I'm on a cushion, as you can tell, but if you're in a chair, perfectly fine. I just like to encourage you to sit on something that gives you support under your tailbone, that isn't too squishy. Like a couch or a soft bed probably isn't a good option, because you tend to then to kind of collapse. So something that's firm under your tailbone, that allows you to really open up your chest and to breathe, is much better. So take a moment as you get yourself situated. Sometimes I like to do a little bit of a twist as I start, maybe a neck roll, shoulder roll, just to sort of put everything back to reset. Hands on your knees, perhaps, or mudra position around your navel, just below your navel. Or again, just laying your hands on your lap. Shoulders are back a little bit. Your head is up, but not up like this up, where you're staring at the ceiling and your head is jacked back, but it's sort of just in a neutral position. But your chin is up just a little bit. I always recommend that you keep your eyes open, at least partially open, not wide open, but just partially open, so you remain aware and awake. And I'm looking down a little bit past my screen to the floor ahead of me. And I'm just breathing. So just take a moment to breathe here in, out. Nothing too fast, don't force it, just natural. Maybe as you do it, sort of scan your body from the top of your head all the way down to your toes, but slowly, not too quick. Scan your body, noticing where you might be holding any tension. Again, starting at the crown of your head and moving down your face and neck and shoulders, and just doing this scan through each part of your body, seeing where there's a little bit of tightness, maybe soreness or even pain, whatever it is. And you're not trying to fix any of those things. They are just what they are. So just notice where you might be holding some tension or pain, discomfort. Sometimes just bringing your attention to those parts of your body helps to relax those muscles, helps to soften that discomfort or pain. But again, no need for any effort here. You're not trying to cure anything. You're just noticing what's going on in every part of your body and accepting it, acknowledging it, it's there. Wonderful. And now you come back to your breath. Maybe just inhaling a little bit more deeply. Sometimes when we breathe throughout the day, we take really shallow breaths. So here's an opportunity to just reach down deep as you inhale, filling your lungs up, but even going deeper than that, pulling the air down into your abdomen, really filling it up. Holding it for just a second, and then from the abdomen, squeezing the air back up and out. So you're pushing the air from the bottom, pushing it back up past the lungs, out the lungs, and out your mouth, nose. And then repeating, pulling the air deep down, filling your lungs and abdomen up, reaching down with the air into your lower abdomen. And then once again, exhaling from the bottom, like you're squeezing the air out of a balloon, a full balloon, but starting at the tip and then pushing it out. So as we move into our about 14 or so minutes of silent sitting, I'll sit here in silence and hold the space. We're going to just breathe. Any thoughts that come and cross your mind and you're thinking about what you have to do next at work, or you have to do laundry, or you have to go get lunch, or a meeting that you might have, whatever it is. Chances are something's going to cross your mind and it's going to distract you, and your thinking may take you off on some tangent for a moment. The important thing is to just accept that and not be upset about it, not feel like you're failing, but you're just noticing what your mind does. It's always going to try and cure that boredom by creating something to think about. And just knowing this is completely natural. It's what the mind does. No need to let it upset you. All you need to do is sit and watch. And come back to your breathing and let the mind do what it does. And I'll check back in with you in about 13 or so minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. All right, take care. Stay well.